All right, let's see what we've got here. Oh my goodness. It's beautiful. Hello and welcome to the boat shed. Hey guys, I'm back here. Hello and welcome. I'm John and this is Antidote. I'm an engineer and a sailor with a dream of fixing up this old boat to go sailing around the world. And I've got a lot of work to do first. Today we're taking a look at Antidote's propeller, and stick around because by the end of this video, this propeller is going to be better than the day it was new. This propeller is a Max 3-blade classic, and as far as I can tell, this propeller has been on Antidote since somewhere in the early 90s. These propellers have a list of pretty incredible features, but probably the most interesting thing about these propellers is that they can do this. Of course, a traditional prop can't do that, and so it presents a lot of drag as you're sailing. The question that I have is, what kind of condition is this prop actually in? Like anything with moving parts, there can be wear, and this is no different. And so the maintenance routine is really going to be critical when it comes to determining what kind of shape this thing is in after all these years. And I have no idea how well this prop was cared for. Now, thankfully, there's a company here in the Pacific Northwest called PYI. Since 1981, they've been the sole distributor for these props in North America, South America, and Asia. They also operate a refurbishment business for any Max prop ever built from all around the world. So they've actually invited us down to take a look at Antidote's propeller and try and tell us what kind of shape it's in. So after more than 30 years, this prop is going in for its first checkup. Are you nervous? I would be. The folks at PYI have asked that we remove the boat from the propeller before we head over there, so that seems fair. Let's get this thing off. Now, yours might not come off that easy. If you're looking for removal instructions, you can check out this video up here. We're going to clean this prop up with mineral spirits. I like to keep a can of reclaimed mineral spirits around. It's just an easy way to break down these mineral-based greases that are in here. You try and use something that's water-based like Simple Green, sorry, it just might not work very well. So this is a process that I like to do. We keep all the mineral spirits, we can save it for later, reuse it. Nothing goes down the drain. It's a great way to go. It cleans up really fast. This has been reclaimed once before, that's why it's kind of yellow. The video about how to remove the prop, disassemble the prop, adjust the prop, we'll put all of that in a separate video. But a couple of things that you should be aware of, these blades and the orientation of this piece are all numbered. So they go back in very specific orientations. We'll scoop out most of this grease. Pretty liberal amount of grease in here. That's probably what you want to see though. You always want to be wearing safety glasses when you're doing this. You don't want to fling mineral spirits up in your eyeball. I can't be the only one that loves some clean, polished up bronze. It's such a cool metal. Well, the mineral spirits made quick work of the grease from the prop, so this is great. Now I'll just let this settle, and then I'll be able to reclaim some of this mineral spirits for another purpose later, and all the crud on the bottom we can just throw away once it dries out. We'll just leave this tipped over a little bit and covered so that the contents can settle. Great, so this is all cleaned up and ready to go. So let's take a little trip down to Linwood to say hi to the folks at PYI. Bridges, looks a little cold outside today. You might want to grab a jacket.
Come on, buddy.
It is a crisp, cool morning in the Pacific Northwest, and as we head south, the fog lifts to reveal another beautiful day that is just getting started. We have a reputation for dealing with a lot of rain up here, and that is certainly the case, but these beautiful days definitely help to make up for it. Isn't that right, Nico? There's PYI. Hey, Fred, nice to meet you.
Yeah, hey John, nice to meet you.
Thank you for
nice
having
to
us
meet
here.
you. Yeah,
So,
no worries.
So Fred's going to walk us through looking at our prop, and we'll just tell us a little bit more about what PYI does.
Yeah, let's look at your propeller first.
Sounds good.
Take a look at that.
Perfect.
Let me go grab it.
So there she is. So we got her all cleaned up for you last night.
I know, it's beautiful. It doesn't even look like there's any grease or anything. It's awesome. But it's got some wear in it. I mean, it's got some rotational play in the blades, so it's got some rotational play. Not a lot of fore and aft play. So it's not really too worn. It's something we'll be able to fix.
So what can you tell me about this prop in particular? I mean, the boat was made in '89, and as far as I can tell, this might be...
It's probably pretty original. This, with the old style nut in it, it was before 1991, so it's been in the water a long time. And it's still in great shape. I mean, the metal has no corrosion.
The bronze looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's a big thing. People taking care of them by keeping zincs on it make a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, the propeller will last if you take care of it.
So the zinc's obviously one major thing, and then keeping grease in there, and the right type of grease.
A propeller should be re-greased every year. It's better to do it more often than less often. The grease we use is a calcium-based grease. It has a thickness rating, what's called NLGI rating of 1. And what that does is it stays fluid in cold water or warm water.
Great.
So it doesn't wash out too quick in warm water, but allows the propeller to feather when it's in cold water. The calcium tends to last longer than a lithium-based grease.
So you made these in 2-blade and 3-blade in different sizes up until what year?
2013.
Okay, last one rolled off the line in 2013.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, these are all made in Italy.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, all Max-Props, the patent holder and the founder of the company, Maximilian Bianchi, is in Milan, Italy, and he still is there every day.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Amazing.
He literally looks at nearly every propeller that goes off the line.
From an engineering standpoint, it's a very impressive design, the way that it handles.
Well, it's simple. The thing is, it's simple and it holds up in a horrible environment. There are 2 wear points in the propeller, both the spacer, the part that the blades rotate against, and then the central cone gear. Okay. And if we push the spacer out, that pushes the blades out against their bearing surfaces, and then we raise the cone gear up and it tightens up that rotational play.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
do you think we can take a look at it and see what kind of shape we're in?
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
So before you take anything apart, you want to mark the propeller in the feathered position.
Okay.
Then I can do whatever I want to it to make it easier to take apart. So I remove that last bolt, and the blades and end cap come out all as one piece, so I can handle it in the water. It's not going to fall apart on me. I can manage it.
Right.
So I don't care what the settings are at this point.
Because there's this captive, I don't know what you call this
carrier. The spacer is in between, and it's all held captive by this end cap.
Right, so by holding it on the underside and sort of pinching it, you're able to keep it all together.
Exactly.
That's smart.
I come back, line up the spinner halves with the hub, line up the marks, and then I can see inside the letter A is aligned with the drill mark on the inside. That is the Y mark as it's considered in the instruction booklet. Right. So our Y mark is A.
So do you ever get these back for refurbishment full of grease?
Oh yeah, every time. 7 times out of 10. Sure. Once I get all 6 bolts apart, I can then take the halves apart. So I set those aside, and my next letter setting is going to be the cone gear, how the cone gear comes out of the propeller. And I always start with the middle of K and draw a line between the central hub and the cone gear so that I have a reference point, so when I pull it out, I can put it back together the same way.
Right.
Because I don't necessarily know where the X mark is. And if I pull it out, I notice there's a hacksaw mark on the bottom surface, and that is what's considered the X mark. Many times it also makes a stain in the propeller. If you can't find the setting, that is usually where it is.
Okay,
you'll see a impression in the grease, or you'll see a stain. Yeah. So not always true, but if you lose everything, that's a great place to start.
But if you take in your prop apart, make sure you mark down those settings.
Yep. Oh, it's everything.
You're going to want that.
Yep. What we see at this point, can you see these teeth? The opening in the teeth? Those are more machine teeth. Those were not used during the actual use of the propeller. If we turn it over here,
because
you can look at these teeth, how they're opened up some.
Yes.
And that's what happens over time, is that is the used gear and forward.
Right.
That's where the load is being put on it. So you get some opening up in the teeth. That's where that rotational play comes.
Right.
And so what we do is engage, either replace the cone gear if it's worn. The teeth here are worn thin versus a more square tooth. And so we would probably replace the cone gear.
Okay.
But what happens is we engage it further. We push it in farther, so it's engaging on a new part of the tooth on the blade.
You put a shimmer spacer on the
we
back,
would replace it. Or we can shim it or weld it up.
But you basically tighten up these tolerances.
Yeah, basically we engage it deeper to get to a new part of the cone gear.
To move it up a bit. So you're talking about all this rounded wear mark that I see there versus like, where's one where it's
There's not very many left.
Okay. They've all got a bit of that
they've all got a
going
bit
on.
of wear. So in this case, we'd probably replace the cone gear.
Okay.
It would be the least expensive way to tighten it up.
Okay.
And then the other wear point, if we take all this apart, the other wear point is this spacer. The flat surface of this spacer, the blades rotate on that, and so this spacer wears.
That makes
so
sense.
we can either weld up and extend the length of it, and normally we just replace it. And that pushes the blades farther out against the bearing surface, so that we get a good tight fore and aft play.
That prevents the play
Yeah,
because you
exactly.
have all this bearing surface on there.
Exactly.
And you know you got a lot of nice grease in there.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So these surfaces here, they tend to do pretty well over the long haul?
They don't really get much wear. The bearing surfaces themselves on the spinner, if you keep it greased, we don't get a lot of wear there. This flat face and the flat face of the spacer is what actually wears.
Wow, right.
So,
how many of these do you see kind of given in a year? How many props
we
come back
receive 5 or 6 a day.
5 or 6 a day?
Yeah, there's
come through the door.
50,000 Max-Prop classics in the water. So there's a lot. There's more than one or two.
in the water, you're seeing multiple a day.
Right now, at any one time, we have 50, 60 props in here for reconditioning.
Okay. So you have a lot of historical data driving these points you're telling us. Like when you say that this face wears, you have a lot of history to back up.
Oh yeah,
Right.
And commercial vessels with thousands of hours on them. We do commercial boats that, like the catamarans in Hawaii, they're called cattle boats, that they take people off for a sail,
we've been on
motor
some of those.
sail, and then they power onto the beach.
Yeah.
And then they power back off the beach and take off. And they're powering literally 5,000 to 6,000 hours
Workboats
a year.
running, all day, every day, 7 days
So we
a
get
week.
a lot of abuse.
Right.
All the
That's cool.
classic schooners, like the Schooner America, Schooner Bowden, they all have max props on them.
Yeah.
They're more competitive than your casual sailor.
Right.
Those big classic schooners get together a couple times a year and they sail against each other.
Yeah.
And if they don't have a max prop, they can't win.
Right, right. Well, the nice thing about the max prop for us is that obviously the drag reduction, but also the boat doesn't like to reverse so well.
Yep.
And part of that being, I think, it's in an aperture. What I understand is having the max prop on that boat is about as good as I can expect to get in reverse.
Yep. Basically what happens is the blades rotate from forward to reverse in 3/4 of a turn of the shaft. So you get the exact same leading edge and the exact same efficiency in reverse as in forward.
Right.
So you don't need the RPMs to stop the boat because it's giving more efficient thrust.
You're getting good
so
thrust.
less RPMs mean there's less walk.
Right.
So you get much more efficient thrust out of it.
That makes sense.
You know, some boats, no matter what, with an aperture, you're going to walk no matter what you do.
Yeah,
But it allows you to put it into neutral because you'll have way and flow going over the rudder quicker than
So
with
that
a
I
fixed
can
blade.
steer in neutral,
Yep,
essentially,
exactly.
once I've got some sternway.
Yep, exactly.
Right, okay. Another thing that's neat about this feathering propeller versus maybe some others is that you can, depending on how you disengage it, you can keep it active for
Yeah.
driving like a regenerative alternator.
Whether it's electric motor or a shaft alternator, you can recharge the batteries if that's what you want. And basically, from the forward position, the flow of the water going past it feathers it out. So that flow feathers it out.
So if
you're sailing in light or medium air, you can always let it feather.
Yeah.
If you drop it into reverse, the flow of the water is then holding the blades open.
Right.
So it can't feather.
Right.
And it will rotate and spin just like a fixed blade propeller. So if you're in heavier air and you want to regenerate, you can do it.
So as long as you run reverse before you power down your motor, you'll be able to keep the prop open.
It will never feather.
Yeah, and if your intention is to sail fast, then you want to make sure you stop it in forward.
Exactly. And in that case, all you're doing is powering 2-3 knots in forward,
Yeah.
killing the engine in forward or neutral, whatever you normally do. Once there is no torque on the shaft, the flow of the water coming past it is what feathers it out.
Cool. Well, I mean, as an engineer, I love the complex but simple design. It's really elegant, and I love the features of it in forward and in reverse. So I'd love to keep it going.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll be able to clean this up and make it as close to new as we can.
Awesome.
So do you want to go see some of we have other propellers in the back that have just got here, and then ones we've repaired as well.
I'd love that. I'd love to take a look.
Cool.
Let's do it. Great.
Awesome.
Okay, going to the machine shop. Okay, behind the scenes at PYI. We're just powering down the machine so that we can
Come on back.
enter safely.
We'll go this way, yeah.
Okay, awesome. I see a lot of really nice brass in here. Well, bronze.
Lots of bronze.
Bronze.
Yeah, I mean, we have parts for all the propellers, even those stopped production in 2013 for your propeller right here.
Yeah.
That we could literally fit in the propeller today.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. So
Okay, well, we can wait.
Yeah. Good luck with that. We have a couple propellers here, one that we got in, and then one that's finished with this reconditioning process.
So would this have looked like this?
Yeah,
when it
well,
got,
yeah, in general, or worse. You see, if we engage the blades in forward and block out 2 of the blades, you can see that there's a lot of rotational play in the blades.
Right, yep.
As well, then fore and aft play in the blades. That's not bad. It's not horrible, but it should be replaced or repaired.
So mine had a little less rotation, maybe?
Yep, correct, yep.
And then maybe similar fore and aft?
Yeah, similar fore and aft, exactly.
Okay.
Here's one that's actually finished.
Wow,
So
look at that.
they come back like a jewel, other than my fingerprints.
They sure do, yeah.
So on this one, we had to replace the blades.
Okay.
There was quite a bit of rotational play in the blades, and the teeth got opened up so much that replacing the cone gear wouldn't tighten it up. So we have blades that we can replace and make this propeller have a full life again.
So what is the main cause of that wear? If the prop were to, say, come back to you on a regular basis and maintain good grease, do you think that it would avoid this kind of repair?
Yes, but this propeller may be 25, 30 years old as well.
Yeah.
So, at 25, 30 years old, you're just going to get wear.
Right.
But if you grease them literally every year, you're not going to get that kind of rotational play of the propeller.
So if I come visit you, just like your dentist, if I'm here every so often,
every 10,
maybe not
10,
every
15
30 years, but every 10 years?
10, 15 years is normally when we see propellers if they're taken care
Okay.
of. If they're left in the water for 5 years and used a lot with no grease in them, we're going to see them after 5 years because they're not taken care of.
So I keep the grease in, and I see you every 10 to 15 years. I could expect a long life out of this.
Without question. I mean, we literally have propellers from the 70s that are still in the water.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
a couple weeks.
I think it's really awesome that you guys do this, because there's a lot of stuff that you buy these days that you use it once and then sorry it's gone. And I know you make a new propeller that does all this and
It's
more.
the coolest new thing, but we can make this, if this is your propeller and it's literally 30 some years old, it's like new again. There is literally, if you engage it, there is literally no rotational play in the blade and no fore and aft. Yeah.
Yeah, I can detect essentially zero.
Yeah.
And
you have to have some play for the gears to rotate.
There's got to be some clearance for it to do its job. But
I mean, a huge difference between this to a reconditioned propeller. It is dramatic. What Jerome can do is incredible. It's fun.
All right, we're looking forward to meeting Jerome.
Yeah.
So this is now one of the new
This
Easies?
is the new Max-PROP Easy.
Okay.
So as opposed to taking it apart to install it and all that, this propeller ships fully assembled. So with the new props, you literally, as opposed to taking it all apart, you literally slide it up onto the shaft and then nut it in place.
That is
and
so-
then lock it in place, and
literally-
it's done. That's all there is to it.
It's so easy.
Yeah, yes, I know. And the same comes with pitch adjustment. So
Can we
we were
get
talking about taking it apart to change the old ones.
Yeah.
With these, all you're doing is
Wow.
pulling out a bolt and putting a new one of a different length to change the pitch.
Smart.
It's just, it can be done in the water very simply.
That's so
and very
smart.
easily. This is the machine that actually does all the machining on the propellers. So machining the spacer and cone gear, it's all done on this old
Wow.
Henley machine. It's pretty cool.
So pure mechanical lathe.
Yep.
Wow.
Everything's done by hand.
It's
But
amazing.
every propeller was made by hand at that time, so we need to be able to
You
tweak
need
it
this
and adjust
level
it.
of
Yep.
control and,
Yep.
and fine tunability.
Yep.
So everything is done one off here.
Yep.
Careful measurement, adjustment. Wow, very cool.
Yeah. Basically, it's disassembly, machine, assembly. Still doesn't work because you can't
Right.
get the fine tuning without just literally putting it together.
Right. Cool.
Measuring isn't enough
Yeah,
because every propeller wears differently.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. Well, that was a really cool experience to get a behind-the-scenes peek at PYI, and it is a really awesome facility. They have a full CNC shop in the back where they manufacture parts for a lot of the cool products that they make. We don't have time to show you all of it, but it was a really fun trip. And we'll put a link in the description down below where you can check out their website and see all the other things that they offer. After you've packed up your prop carefully and shipped it off to PYI, you can expect about 3 to 4 weeks for the turnaround time for them to fully refurbish it. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on the season and how busy they are. Thanks to the magic of editing, we already have ours back. And now, before we take a look in here, which I cannot wait to do, I think this is a great time to ask you to hit that like button for me. It really does help out the channel. Thank you so much. This was dropped off yesterday. I couldn't wait to get inside. This is a blade. Oh wow, look at that. As promised, this thing has come back looking like an absolute jewel. It is beautiful. I really can't imagine putting it on the boat and letting all those barnacles grow on it again. If you told me this is a brand new propeller, I'd have no problem believing you. There is essentially zero play in this propeller. It's really remarkable, so I'm excited to get it all greased up and back on the boat sometime. I promised at the beginning of this video that this prop would come back even better than the day it was new. And while I certainly can't tell the difference, there is something that does make that statement a reality. PYI castellated the original nut for me, so instead of having just one single hole on the side of the nut to re-engage the cotter pin on the shaft, we now have 3 open slots. It's going to be so much easier to see what we're doing, to get that alignment just right so that we can get this thing back together. It's going to make this whole experience so much more pleasant than trying to fiddle with that one tiny hole. So thanks a lot, guys, for doing that too. So what should you budget for this refurbishment process for your own prop? This is a 3-blade and 20-inch diameter, so that gives you a jump-off point, but again, these are really just rough numbers. I needed a new cone gear, a 3-blade spacer, and a screw kit. So that brings us to $426 in parts. Now Jerome's time to clean and refit all of those components adds another $489 to the bill. Now a new MaxProp Easy in this same size, with all of its amazing features, and really if money was no object, that's exactly what I would want to do, it's going to cost me $5,200. So for me, for under $1,000 to get 10 to 15 more years of trouble-free service out of this prop, well, that math is easy and makes perfect sense. Now PYI was very generous and they've actually sponsored this work for us today, so it's a huge contribution to the project and we're very, very grateful. Thank you guys for doing that. Jerome is a master machinist. He really knows what he's doing, putting these things back together. I really can't believe what he's been able to accomplish here. I know he takes a lot of pride in the work that he does and satisfaction in seeing these old props get a second lease on life. So Jerome, big thanks to you. Fred, thanks for setting all this up. What a wonderful thing that you guys do. And Fred knows everything there is to know about MaxProps. He literally wrote the instruction book on these things several years ago. And if you have any questions about getting into a new MaxProp or you're interested in the refurbishment program, I would give him a call. Now you've seen the wear that I had in mind and the play that was evident. Jerome tells me that I was middle of the road as far as where that they can still repair goes. I wouldn't want to get any further than that because I didn't need new blades, and I think if you get too much further than that, then you're going to be in that camp and the prices will go up. So I'm planning to be back in another 10 years for another service. I hope that you have found this video interesting and informative. And if you have, it's not too late to hit that like button for me. We make a new video about this refit journey every second Sunday. We hope to see you in the next one. I'd like to thank the folks on Patreon that really helped make this channel a possibility. The people whose names are now appearing on the screen go the extra mile to make sure this channel stays in production. Really couldn't do without all you guys. Thank you so much. Now, if you'd like to join the Patreon group for some behind the scenes content, some early video releases without ads, I'll even send you a couple of these living for sale stickers as a way of saying thank you. Well, that's a few bucks a month and it gets you access to all of that. We even just had our very first Patreon meetup after the Seattle Boat Show, and that was a total blast. Thank you for everyone that showed up for that. If you're new to our channel and you'd like to get caught up from the very beginning, I would love that, and there's a playlist for you right here. And if you want to subscribe for more of this content, then the button right there, I dare you to click it. See you next time. Okay, we're gonna start with a little flossing. So how's the family? Now a little to the right, please. Perfect, thank you. Oh, got a little bleeding on too. I don't think this is what I ordered.